This is the Colombia Calling podcast. I am your host, Richard McColl, here in Bogota, Colombia, 2,600 meters closer to the stars. And we're doing another travel-related episode for you here on the Colombia Calling podcast. We've got Bruce McLean from BNB Colombia Tours on the line from the Eje Cafetero, and also Marcel Reina, who is in San Jose de Guaviare. So that's sort of look at Bogota on the map, go straight down through Meta, and then you arrive at Guaviare. And that's what we're going to talk about this week. So, guys, thank you very much for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for the invite, Richard. Pleasure to be here.
It's always an absolute pleasure. Marcel, let's start with you. You are originally from Tunja, but you have family links dating back, well, 40, 50 years into Guaviare. And your grandparents moved out there, and now you're living full-time there, and so you are a pioneer in tourism for this part of Colombia. So how did it all happen?
No, it's part of the life situations, but yeah, in the last 8 years, I started a process to move in here. My grandmother still lived for that time, so we decided with my wife to have a change in our life, and we decided to come here. And for me, it was a new start point, and I started making tourism since there.
But you'd been working in tourism before, or not? You just decided this is the time, this is the place?
Actually, it was a late decision I made.
Okay, but you went to a good place for it, because Guaviare is I've been a couple of times. My wife, who is Colombian, has never been. My sons, who are Colombian, have never been. But I find it as one of the most accessible and fascinating places to visit that's like not on the beaten track in Colombia. So what do you say to people, either you, Marcel, or Bruce, what do you say to people when they say, well, we want something a little bit different? I've heard about Guaviare. How would you say, okay, this is perfect for you?
Okay, if it's me talking, it's basically if they do want that off the beaten path thing. If they want to see something unique, something that's unique to Colombia, that's unique to the world, this Guaviare ticks all the boxes. You've got the rock paintings, 12,000 plus years old, where you can basically touch, you can see the history, the images that are, of animals that are extinct pre-Ice Age that are there, that you can see I remember Marcel explaining this to me about how the thick red line or painting on the bottom of the actual rock art and that sort of stuff. That's basically where they delete previous people's art. So, one family might go through and they see if, their cousins twice removed, aunties who had an affair with somebody or other, and so they just delete their art, sort of thing. It might have been some other issue, but it could possibly have been that also. But at the bottom of the art of these rock paintings, you see a lot of that. So, digress is okay. So it's why one of the reasons you would go there. Okay, this rock art, amazing, 12,000 plus years old. Extinct animals you're going to see there, as well as that. It's got everything. It's beauty. It's got the nature. It's got indigenous. It's got, Marcel's been going there for 50 odd years. He could tell you more about it than me. Marcel, why do you think?
Well, actually, we could make a quite long list of sites we can visit in here, and we can imagine how diverse is it. You can come here, for example, in a weekend, an entire weekend. We will have activities the whole day during the whole week. We have many different places with many different orientations. We have cultural sites, as Bruce exposed these rocks of Paleolithic art. We have red-colored rivers. We have lakes in where we have dolphins. We have nature. We have a specific rock formation in here. It's very rare in Colombia that the rock formation, different rock formations. We have rivers for bathing, rivers for just for observing, and we have a lot of cultural movement. Have traditional communities, and this is a place in where a lot of people from a lot of places came to settle down since the 60s or 70s.
That's what I mean. It fascinates me because it's one of those places, let's say, of expansion. As you say, the 60s, the 70s, this great migration of people from areas around the country into a place like Guaviare. So let's put it into context. If we were to drive there from Bogota, it's a long drive. Is it around 10 hours to get to San Jose from Bogota?
It depends on the road between Bogota and Villavicencio, because actually, if you in the best conditions, you can do it in 7 hours. But when Bogota and Villavicencio takes, like 1 month ago, it was like, I don't know, 10 hours to get from Bogota to Villavicencio. Actually, from Villavicencio, we are only about 4 hours distance.
Okay, so close. And then you have, is it daily flights with Satena, or are there any other airlines going there?
We have daily flights mixed. Sometimes it's Satena and sometimes it's Click.
Okay, so there's greater connectivity now. It's not as hard as it used to be.
Yeah.
Well, this is a good thing. This is good to know. So you were talking, Marcel, about all the different things you can do in a whole week there in Guaviare, and obviously using San Jose as a base. You mentioned a colorful river. Obviously, you're not talking about Caño Cristales, because that's in Meta. So in Guaviare, which one is it?
We have different ones, but in the tourism activity, there are two places. One is called Caño Sabana or Tranquilandia. The name of the property is Tranquilandia. The other one has also two names. Whether it is El Rincón de los Toros, traditional place used by the locals to visit, or is also named Gallito de Roca, the name of the farm that actually opened the gates for the tourism. But it is two rivers near San Jose.
Okay, so if we were to base ourselves in San Jose, which has lots of hotels, there's a lot of hotels in San Jose. How far away, for example, is Gallito de Roca?
Both are actually closer, very close one each other, and both are probably 15 kilometers from town, probably 20 minutes.
So nowhere. I mean, right next door. Right next
But,
door.
I mean, 10 of those kilometers are in the national road, so it's in a perfect condition the road, and there's only 3 kilometers in a gravel road.
Okay, and for you, as someone who lives there, what would you say is the most important thing to see or to do to someone who knows nothing about Guaviare, just has seen a reduced price ticket to get down there, and so we'll go down for a long weekend? What would you say that is absolutely unmissable?
As Bruce mentioned, the painting, the cave, we call cave paintings, but actually there are not caves. There are wall paintings, very old, probably 12, 14,000 years old, and the color of rivers. We have a lake in where we can see all the year the pink river dolphins swimming around, and we have also the opportunity to get into the water and to be there, and sometimes the dolphins interact with you. And we have these specific, we are in the middle of two big ecosystems, so we have the presence of Orinoco Plains environment and the Amazon environments and landscape. So we can have a mix of both. And specifically in La Lindosa, this is a plateau near town, we have this rock formation where we actually have the majority of the activity.
La Lindosa is, I would say, otherworldly. It's so very beautiful, the rock formations there, and that's where is that where you can see the cock of the rock bird? Is that, because it's good for bird watching, isn't it?
Yeah, they have made an estimation about probably like 700 different birds in here, and the cock of the rock is one of the most attractive for the
Yeah.
birders. And we have a couple of places in where we can see it.
So for me, the first time I went, I think it was 2007 or 2008, although I'm pretty sure it was 2008. I was sent on a motorcycle up to go to the Cerro Azul, so the rock painting. I don't ride a motorcycle, so I was sent up with someone else. And on the way, we got a flat tire, and we weren't carrying a spare. And so the guy who was driving said, "Oh, it's okay. I'll go back to San Jose." So it's like, hour or something to go back, and then return with a spare tire. But you have to stay here on this farm. And it was a farmer called, I want to say his name was Saul. And he said to me, "You can sit here all day with me on my farm." It was a very humble place. But by nighttime, you have to go because los muchachos will be coming through. And you are too gringo for these parts. So can we just ask, can we get there now? Is that security is fine for all of these places now in Guaviare?
Yes, as I told you, the majority of the visits we make, they are all in La Lindosa Plateau. And La Lindosa Plateau is just here behind the town. And it's a formation for probably 24 square kilometers. So the longest distance is probably Cerro Azul, 45 kilometers from town. And actually, this year we have had a lot of echoes of situations, bombardments, and things happening in Guaviare. You can see in the map how big is Guaviare. And actually, we are really in the top north of the department. And these activities, of course, we know about the political situation in Colombia is not something new, and is not only related to Guaviare. So this is something that still happens, but it happens quite far away from here. Another important thing to know is that tourism, especially since the peace process in 2016, has become a very important development activity for everyone. So for people, for authorities, for the governments, and so one of the important things we have learned to apply in tourism is that we have to offer security. So if something is not happening in the good way, the first thing we're going to make is to call and cancel any activity because we cannot risk what we have earned in these years.
Yeah, of course, it's the most important thing. And one mistake or one awful event will ruin, and it ruins tourism nationally. That's the thing, an international tourist sees one issue taking place, and it doesn't matter where it is. The whole of Colombia is affected by it. But as you say, your points to visit in Guaviare are very much in the northern part, right up close to Meta. The southern part is an unknown quantity totally. I know it's huge indigenous reservations and national parks and Orinoquia and very difficult to get around. But, you go to a place like this with the experts. You go to a place like this with the people who know. So, I would like to go. I have a 10-year-old and I have a 5-year-old son. Would you say it's a good place to go with children of those ages?
Absolutely. Absolutely, because they're going to enjoy the nature. We have a lot of the majority are natural sites where sometimes we can see a lot of birds and animals and enjoy the rivers, to swim in the crystal waters of the Caño Sabana, not in the area in where the plants are. Downstream, you have natural pools and for sure, and they will have this approach to this very important cultural matter that it is about the painting. So for sure, it's absolutely necessary for them to know this into the Colombian history.
Well, I'm very keen on them going and learning more about their country, and that for me is part of the benefits of an upbringing in a country like Colombia with so many different opportunities and so many different cultural traditions. And I think that takes us quite nicely to the culture in Guaviare, and San Jose de Guaviare has to be quite interesting because obviously the original people were indigenous families and indigenous groups. And then, like your grandparents, there's the colonos who then move in, and different cattle farmers and different waves of how do you say it? Waves of people looking for economy and a livelihood. What would you say now is are the principal forms of income for San Jose? So I think we said tourism is one, but what else do people do in San Jose?
Mainly cattle extraction and agricultural. And
Okay.
there's probably a 10% of the people working for the government or for NGOs or for institutions.
Mm-hmm. And then culturally speaking, what kind of festivals can we expect if we were to visit at some point in the year? Are there special times that you would say maybe are better because there might be a festival, a local tradition being done, something like that?
There's a big festival local in the municipality called the Yurupari de Oro. The culture in here is very llanera, from the western lands, this cattle production, the cattle ranches. So they're very joropo. Have you heard about the joropo dance?
Yeah.
The llanera music. So this is a very important fact of the culture in here. So this Yurupari de Oro that changes somehow the date, but it is always in the middle, somewhere in the middle August. Is the main activity in here. It's a big festivity. We have indigenous presence. We have what we call a lot of national and international artists for music, popular music, and traditional dances, and contest of joropo, for example, also with the young schools. They call they have a name like in Sambódromo in Brazil. They have the Joropódromo in here, and all in the Janeiro, in the area of the western lands in Colombia, the eastern lands of Colombia. We have the Joropódromos, where a lot of people is dancing the joropo all day long, and that's very important. We have also another activity called the El Festival de las Colonias, the Colonies Festival. As I mentioned, there's a lot of people coming from different places. So we have specific groups of people from the coast, from the North Coast, from the Pacific Coast, from Santander Department, from Tolima Department. So they create their own colonies and they participate in this festivity, offering their food, sample of their music, of their dances, of their traditional costumes, and that happens in July.
And then what about the Festival del Verano, the summer festival?
The summer festival is something that is not sure it's gonna take place all years, because sometimes it depends on the river. In the late January and early February, you have the dry season at its top. So the water is low in the river, and it creates a lot of beaches near town. So that's where they started making this summer festival in the riverside, in the riverbank. And sometimes the river creates these beaches far away, or it just don't create them. So sometimes we made it, sometimes we don't, but it happens always in between January and February. It depends on the weather.
You touch on the point there. Everything depends on the weather, and we here in this part of the world live on the knife edge of climate change. And so, if it's a very dry summer, I guess you get the Festival del Verano. If it's a very wet summer, then no Festival del Verano. Is it I get the feeling that the Festival del Verano is kind of like a party. They take the picos and they take the speakers out to the beaches and cook up fish on barbecues and so on. Is it a bit more like a party than a cultural tradition?
Yeah, the summer festival is more about enjoying the party on the beach and making contests of, I know, volley, beach, sport, and drinking for sure, and music, live music also in the beach.
Yeah. I do like the idea of some beach volleyball on the Guaviare River. I like that idea very much. Now, when we talk about the Joropodromo, so that's the Joropodrome, I guess, like the Samba drome, but for Joropo. The music of Joropo is with a cuatro guitar, so four strings, and then
Yeah,
what else?
the harp,
Yeah,
harpa,
harp, harp.
cuatro, and the maracas, and
Yeah.
singing. And then
Okay.
very llanera. It's like the same one we have in all the Eastern Plains and in Venezuela.
Yeah, and it's quite an energetic dance. So I went to a wedding in I don't know, somewhere outside of Villavicencio, and we all had to dance it, and there's a lot of stamping my foot.
Yeah, based on that. But there
Yeah,
are
are
different
you
rhythms, no? For sure. You
okay?
have some smooth rhythms you can dance easy, or there are the biggest and fast rhythms that there are only danced by professionals. I cannot dance joropo.
I was going to ask you. That was the next question. How good is your joropo skills? Not very good.
No, not at all.
I guess
I a little bit more salsa.
salsa. Okay, well there we go. So, Marcel, this is all fascinating, and I think the idea of mixing or going to a place where the Orinoco plains and rivers meet the Amazon jungle is just truly a very special opportunity for anyone in Colombia or coming to Colombia. But tell us a bit more about the indigenous traditions and the indigenous people of this area. Because I went down, the first time I went down was to meet with representatives of the Nukak Maku. And when I was there, I also met with people from I think it's the Guayabero families. There must be more, right?
These communities you mentioned are probably the most attached to the territory even before the colonization, especially the Guayaberos, or the QGIW, their name in their language. They are more related to the rivers of the Guayabero River. Macus are more from the jungle, down south, more inside from the jungle. And we have a lot of communities that also were colons. You have a lot of communities from the Tucano, Eastern Tucano family who came here, more than 12 or 14 ethnic. And we have nowadays, with this situation of human movements in Colombia, we have also communities from Cauca and from other places. So in the whole department, we have an estimation about something between 25 or 30 different ethnic groups and the different ethnic languages.
And in San Jose then is like a melting pot for all these different groups and different families and different and it works, or is there sort of a division in between who are recent colonos or ones who came earlier or people of indigenous descent? It's San Jose is, I don't know, let's say it's a peaceful place with this respect?
It's a peaceful place, yes, but actually you have to know that the colonization was very hard against them. So they live in conditions, they live in some places, in some reservations near town, and not always their conditions are the best. We have, unfortunately, we don't have this equality between the colonos and the indigenous communities. That's sadly a fact that there's been I don't know, processing where they have to be protected, and this protection was not always well led, and we have a lot of this cultural confrontation, this cultural shock for them with the colon culture has been very also strong. We have a lot of problems with young indigenous people who are in the city because they have a very important difficult to adaptation, to their adaptation. And yeah, there are a lot of issues with this cultural shock, unfortunately. But we have a lot of cultures also that are very well adapted. They continue living in this mix of their culture and the colon culture, but they keep their traditions. They offer their food. They offer dances for showing how they act in their life.
And I think this is one of those things where we jump in and say this is where tourism helps, and it will protect and strengthen the cultural ties for the original settlers, original people from these regions. And I was in I want to say Agua Bonita. Is that a place?
Yeah.
Agua Bonitas. Yeah, you see, even from 2008, I can remember because it left a huge impact on me being back there. But I was back, and the elders in their families, they understood this. They understood that visitation could help for them to celebrate and protect their cultures, but also to teach the younger generations. Because, as you mentioned, the younger generations have that difficulty is that they become more adapted to the city life, in as much as San Jose and then elsewhere are cities and urban. And they were arguing that the Nukak, for example, did not want to return to the jungle. But that was because the younger generations were more outspoken and louder. But the older ones and the more traditional ones were like, no, we really want to go. So I can see that tourism and this kind of, I don't know, ethno-respectful tourism in a way could really be something of a benefit to people of this nature. So Guaviare at this point is, it is not a mass tourism destination. Let's get that out there straight away. It's for either small groups or individuals. Would you say so, Bruce?
Sorry, I had it on mute. Look, you can send groups 20, 40 people, realistically, there, because there's a number of different hotels there now which can accommodate that. It's not somewhere for luxury tourism at all. If you're thinking, but it depends on what people perceive as luxury. If you're thinking, a Marriott, then it's not that. But if you're thinking being surrounded by nature with waking up to the birds, lots of lush vegetation, then yeah, that's that type of luxury. But yeah, it's not like a big, like there's nowhere for buses to go, or small buses sort of thing. But even for trips going to Cerro Azul or one of the other locations, it's in a 4x4, so you can fit like 8 people in there maximum. People in the back and in the front. So you're going to be like a caravan, a number of 4x4s going in a line sort of thing. So that's how you do it with the larger groups. But realistically, I think it's more comfortable with smaller solo travelers or couples, families sort of thing. Marcel's the only person that we contact when we want to send anybody to Guaviare. So he's been doing it for a while there now, and he's the only one that we trust. He also started doing group tours also in weekends. So 3-day group tours as well, and then every weekend, and then I think it's once or twice, depending on the time of the year, a 4-day group tour. So for those solo travelers, we go and put them into one of those if possible, unless they've got the budget, because obviously, solo travelers, as everybody knows, they pay as much as same as 2 people basically. But that's one of the things that he does. And I know you touched on the Red River. And you asked me before about how it makes it this unique as opposed to other locations? Canyon Cristales. We'll have to have a chat about this another time. Unique to Colombia because of the Macarena. I can't remember the name of the plant. Marcel, what's the name of the plant? Macarena.
Macarena clavijera.
Clavinia. Okay, so Colombia is the only place in the world that you can find this. So we get people who come to Colombia just to go to Canyon Cristales. But I do go and tell them, if they want to go to Canyon Cristales and Guaviare, I'll just tell them to go to Guaviare because they can see the water plant there as well. So there's no need for the two trips because everybody who comes, they're always, nobody has months and months of time to explore Colombia. So if they do want advice or a refer on which one to save a bit of time and to see both experiences, you got the wildlife there, you got the rock paintings, and you got the Red River, you got the pink dolphins, which I thought we weren't allowed to swim with them anymore, but apparently, Marcel says we can now. I thought, wasn't it USAID that put a stop to that? Is that right, Marcel?
No,
or everything's all good now?
No, it's just that every time a new project arrives and they started talking with the locals and they try to set the rules of behavior there, some people, some specialists say that it's not good to swim with them. Some others says it's okay, there's no problem with these conditions. Or so in this moment there is no real fact to prove that it is forbidden. They allow it. It's been done for more than 40 years with tourism, previously without tourism. It's been always an activity that when you're in the water, the dolphin is around, and if he wants, he comes to say hello and to play with you a little bit. And it is very common in the Amazon, and in the Orinoco, that you have histories about the dolphins interacting with people, somehow saving people that are drowning in the water, or they've been saving young kids that fell in the water, and there's also a lot of mythologies about the dolphins, like the big dandies, trying to conquer the young ladies in the festivities. So there's a lot of human proximity with this dolphin because actually it's a very special animal. It's impressionant it's very emotional when you're in the water and you just see them, 5 meters away from you, and you see how they show up a little bit and they just go down. And at the beginning you might feel a little bit freak because it's a big animal. It's like 200 kilograms approaching, and you think you think about shark music, but actually, if he touches you, it's a very friendly approach. He's only gonna grab against your foot a little bit, and that's the way it starts.
I remember it's always been one of the highlights whenever we've seen people there, and dolphins playing with their feet. That's something people rave about. They just love it.
So I've swum with the Pink River dolphins in Bolivia, but not in Guaviare. So are there caiman in those waters? Are there crocodiles or caiman in those waters as well, Marcel?
We have different species. In the big river, we have the caiman, the Orinoco caiman, that's a big one. And in the other areas, we have a little species of, they call them the cachirre. These are like a little medium-sized caiman. But these cachirres are not dangerous for the people. And when you are in the water with the dolphins, you have to know that the dolphins are the top of the the tropic chain. So they protect us.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean the cachirre.
Cachirre.
Do they know that they're not dangerous to humans? I hope so. But I'm sure.
They're very common.
Okay.
Everywhere you can have a cachirre. You have to be careful with your pet. for sure, and with
Okay.
chickens and that stuff. But they are afraid from humans.
Okay, well, that's good because it's okay. That's good. What about the boa constrictors in the water? I'm sure you have those.
Yes, but actually they are not really in the water. They are more in the swamps near these areas, and we don't go there. We don't make this kind of activities in like going behind a big snake or this kind of stuff is not our specialty. Is it really in the water? When you're in the water, you have turtles and you have a lot of fishes, but as I told you once, I remember when I was with a group of people and I was swimming because I get into the water when there's other people also in the water, and I saw some special ice in the surface of the water like 20 meters away from me, and I saw it was a caiman, a little cachirro, and I got freaking, I was swimming immediately to the boat and told the guy, hey, look, there's this cachirro nearby, and he was he was he was making fun of me because I was afraid because they are really not dangerous at all. And probably is the most frightening animal I can describe. The other are just fishes, birds, turtles. We have seen otters, and I mean, very beautiful.
I'd like to see an otter. I've seen them in Brazil, but I'd like to see one in Colombia, an otter. The river otters. I think those would be amazing to see. So it does sound like a very special place. I know it's a very special place to visit. And we've said that I'm sure, the hotel offering is not luxury, but it's very decent. All I can say is the two places that I've stayed in, I can't remember. I think one was called Hotel Colombia, which is like on the main plaza, one of them, and the other one I don't remember what it was called. Very clean, very efficient, and very helpful people. That's what I remember the most about it. It's like, okay, I'm not Marriott. It's not the whatever some boutique in Cartagena, but if you're going there for the nature and for all of this different cultural activities, you're out early in the morning and you're back late at night, and this is a place to sleep that your sheets are clean and your bathroom is in working order. Would you say so, Bruce, or a bit better than that?
No, I wouldn't say better than that. No, look, they're good. They're clean. There's obviously the 3-star is sort of stretching it. Not everywhere has hot water. Most don't, in fact, but it's really hot there. Like even where I live, I don't even have hot water where I live. We could get it, but I don't need it. It's hot. I don't. It's nice having a refreshing shower. But there's some that is, some nice views like Quinta Neval. I think that's the best one in town. It has got a spa as well at the top level, I think, so you can have a spa, soak in some water, and watch life go by. So they have got some okay hotels, but most are, basic, rustic. But like you said, they're safe, they're clean, they're somewhere to rest your head, and you're there not for the hotel. You're there to enjoy what is around. I think it's like, I don't recall, is it like 14 or 16 different species of monkeys are around there? Something like that. He mentioned the 700 odd different species of birds, but there's anteaters, there's all sorts of stuff.
Okay, so and also then, Marcel, you mentioned that of course the peace accord in 2016 and tourism increasing in Guaviare and in the area of San Jose del Guaviare. Are there tourism projects that have been set up with reintegrated or former members of guerrilla groups there that one can support as well?
Yes, we have two. This this area, this area they created for the integration process.
ETCR or something.
Yes, that's the name exactly. So we have two of them who created tourism projects in their process, and they offer activities related to visit the place, to know their side of the history, to make a walk along the way they live, and they have also the ecological trails for showing nature and so. Yeah, they used to talk about what they did and how they live.
You see, I think this is an incredibly important thing to discuss as well, because this is immediate history here in Colombia, and people do come to Colombia with that, that image of what the country is. So to be able to talk to some of the people who have now reintegrated back into society after a peace accord, and to hear their side of the story, agree with it or not, is of course important. Is one of those Las Colinas?
One of them is Las Colinas, and the other is Charra.
Charra. I went to Las Colinas, but it was still during the Accords. It was another story back there. But it was big, Las Colinas. I imagine it's become like a town now.
No, actually, they created a little town. They made the little town for them there, but they didn't grow up that much. It's like about 200 families, 200 or 300 families.
All right. So I met with some of the secretariat in Las Colinas, and then also almost created a scandal, but that's another story for another day. It was because it was still very much in the period of the talks and just post the talks, and so everything was still very tense. But yeah, I wasn't supposed to be there, in short. But somehow I got an invitation. So that was very interesting. I would take my kids to that, because let's get them out of their bubble of privilege in Bogota and in the Caribbean coast where they go all the time, and to learn more about their country. I think that Guaviare represents a nice slice of everything. When you think of cultures, traditions, expansions, the different economies, the nature, the ancient rock paintings, and then of course Colombia's, I would say, tragic recent history. It's got it all in there. Hang on, is there still the what was it called, the petrol station, the gas station in the middle of nowhere for the bomba para los narcos, la Virgen de los Narcos, or la Virgen de los for people who would buy the gasoline for the coca production? Is that still there?
No, there's been different ones. Those near town has now disappeared. Probably more inside the jungle, you still have some of them.
Because that was one of the things. I think we were going to La Lindosa when we passed one, and it was again.
There is now going actually La Lindosa. When you talk about La Lindosa, as I told you, 3 kilometers away from here. So when you go, for example, to the natural tunnels, you pass by a petrol station, but it's now an official petrol station.
Okay.
And there was a place, there was a virgin where they used to pray, because there was a path for the traders of incomings and merchandising, and they pray to the Virgin not to be cut by the authorities.
Yeah. See it now, Bruce. Bruce is going to kill me for bringing that one up, because obviously, but it was just so fascinating to me in 2008, because it was all trocha, like unpaved roads, and then in the middle of nowhere, this beautiful, absolutely shiny petrol station there, and then there was a Virgin beside it, so the Virgin, so for I guess the people who are trading in the coca base there and so on. But now we know it's legitimate. Now we know it's formalized. I can move on from this story, but this is to bring in some of the anecdotes of the area, of what it did represent up until recently. And that's the truth. I mean, that's the absolute truth. Colombia is, last year, if I'm not mistaken, Colombia had more than 6.4 million tourists. And yet we still have all of these issues. And yet I saw some figure this morning about a ridiculous increase in that number for this year. I don't think it was. I don't think it's accurate, but apparently they're aiming for 7.5 this year. Do you know anything about this, Bruce? About the uptick in tourism numbers?
I know about the uptick. Yes, it's huge. Well,
It's huge.
It is. I don't know the numbers. You know, I don't believe everything that I read these days. Whether it doesn't matter what newspaper it is, I don't tend to believe everything.
No.
But I know it's huge. Tourism in Colombia is massive. It's just growing and growing. You know, obviously, as we all know, our biggest trading partner is the US, and regardless of what politicians may be arguing with different politicians across the water or across the land, you know, the tourists are still coming here because they know it's good, it's safe. We only take people to safe areas. The only people who get in trouble here are the ones who are looking for trouble, basically. And Guaviare is definitely somewhere that I think if it wasn't on people's to-do list, it should be. It should be on your bucket list. If it's not on your first trip here, then second or third trip, because everybody comes more than once, you know, and it's not just the normal tourism, you know, it's not just the vacational tourism. Like my business, I'm doing a lot of incentive and MICE, you know, meetings, incentives, congresses, events. That is growing a lot, and the future in that is huge in Colombia. It is the destination in Latin America. It just truly is.
So we'll be seeing you setting up a huge meetings and congress down there in convention in San Jose with Marcel's Hope before long.
Absolutely.
There we go. So they can have their, you know, they can do bird watching in the morning, go to a congress and a convention in San Jose, and then Marcel can take them to La Lindosa in the afternoon. I think you heard it here first, everyone. But this is the truth. I mean, I think we're getting to a stage. I would like to think, perhaps being very naive, perhaps, but you know, you look at Peru, and Peru's millions and millions and millions of tourists annually, and you know, if not just behind mining as their GDP, you know, main GDP activity. And yet they change president every year, and they have political uncertainty and instability all the time. And so it's the Peruvian paradox. Hopefully, we're getting to that point in Colombia where we can have our own version of the Peruvian paradox, but I guess it would be a Colombian paradox, or a Colombian, what would we call it? Colombian, it has to be an alliteration, the Colombian contrast or something. I don't know. Hopefully we're getting to that kind of stage where regardless of what happens politically in the country, the tourists will still keep on flowing in. And I think, again, Guaviare represents somewhere that is always going to be attractive on that front. So, Bruce, thank you for setting this up. Best of luck with your incentive tourism, meetings, incentives, conventions, and what is it? MICE?
Events.
I should have known
meetings,
that.
Incentives, congresses, events, yeah.
Oh, my God. And Marcel, thank you so much for sharing with us a little bit about your new, well, it's not your adopted homeland, because you've been going there since you've been 1 year old. You are, how do you call them? Guavarense?
I feel like a Guaviarense, yes.
Guaviarense. So you are a Guaviarense. And for all essential purposes here, you're a Guaviarense on this podcast. So thank you for sharing with us a little bit about Guaviare. And of course, through your enthusiasm and knowledge, we have learned a great deal, and hopefully can drive you a few more tourists. I don't promise a lot, but I don't want lots and lots, because I think it needs to be managed well, and, you know, as it grows sustainably, I think, in Guaviare. I think that's one of the key things, because it's such a delicate part of the country. So thank you both for your time and for sharing. So that's Bruce with BNB Colombia Tours. He can organize everything for you. You will be going down, if you go to Guaviare, through Bruce McLean's agency. Of course, it will be Marcel who will be taking you around and organizing everything. So you've heard from the horse's mouth here. You've heard from the people in the know. So no fear. Everything is secure. And of course, they're thinking about of course, your not only will you see the most incredible things, but they will ensure that everything goes according to plan and your best interests are always at heart. So thank you, guys. Thank you both for your time.
Thanks, Richard.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for
All
the
right. So
kind
remember,
invitation.
everyone. Yeah, definitely. Everyone, I'm going to take I don't know when I'm going to do it, but maybe next year I'll get my kids down to Guaviare, and they'll be slightly older. Maybe they'll appreciate it more, and I'll tell them that there's no internet down there, so they won't have their tablets with them and stuff like that. I know there is, but we're just going to say there's not. But go to bnbcolombia.com. Is that what we need to look up, Bruce, for the page?
That will be the one. Absolutely.
bnbcolombia.com, and of course book all your trips there and incentives and so on. Book it all through there. And well, thank you again for listening. This has been the Colombia Calling podcast, a nice episode before Christmas for you to give you some inspiration for maybe this year or next year. We'll be back next week with the final episode, I think, of the year of Colombia Calling, and then be back in 2026 with more episodes for you. I've been Richard McColl in Bogota. Bye-bye.